Hi guys, Gary Jossi here, back on another video. So today's video is about converting this to 90mm. So we've got this set up as my Liberty Walk GTR, which is 98mm. I mentioned in the last video, I've already taken the body mount off. As you know, I do always in these body testing videos, that you can actually adjust this chassis quite easily by loosening a few screws. Now there's two screws on the top plate that you have to loosen, one under the speed controller. I never tighten that one up, I keep it kind of tight enough that I can still move it. So I have to loosen this one, which I've already loosened, and these four down here, which again I've already loosened. And then making sure nothing's going to catch. Now you do have to make sure when you've set this up that your brass plates here that hold the two chassis plates together are in a place that they don't hit the motor as you push it together. So you can see on mine now, as I push the motor in, it's not going to catch. Maybe you can see it easier on this side. Okay, good. Let's just make sure it's not pinching on the motor. Oh, it is a little bit. I do think it is. Look, see that when I did that? Motor moves. Okay, we don't want that. We don't want the motor moving. Okay, so let's just adjust the position of that. That's my bad. I should have checked beforehand. Right, so it's great for the video. At least you guys can see what not to do. So keep your finger underneath the plate so it doesn't fall off. Unscrew the screw. I'll put that one there for now. Screw that one. I think I just need to slide it forward one more. So I'll move the plate down one to there. That should be enough. I'm not going to tighten it all the way because I still want to play around with this. I'm going to move the other one anyway, just for symmetry. So it's so easy to do. Keep that there. There we go, done. Right, so now I am using a bigger servo, remember, and it still seems to fit. Body's all the way closed, motor's not being pushed on unduly. Right, I'll need to tighten my motor screw back up. I've managed to loosen it. Okay, which is no biggie, as I'm only using one motor screw, as I always do with these. And that's it. Motor's tight. Okay, right, so let's try on a Porsche body. Now I do think this gyro is going to hit there. I think what I may need to do is reposition my radio gear, but I'll deal with that in a moment. Let's just see if the chassis fits first into the Porsche. Yeah, the gyro will hit there, so let's move it out of the way for now. I'm just going to shove the gyro down here out of the way, and then we'll rejig that later. So again, I haven't got the front body mount on for speed. And yeah, that will fit. That will fit. Okay, I think probably need to play around with the exact length, bring it forward slightly. No, I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Yep, let's just play around. Yeah, look at that, plenty of space. So you can make this 90mm, which is what I'm going to do now, and then I'll see how this drifts at a 90mm Porsche. So guys, I'm going to break this down into measurements. A lot of people are going to ask me what's my exact setup on these cars. So I think the way to go about this is to try and show you how exactly I've got these set up in terms of measurements. So as you saw there, we've got the 90mm Porsche, which now fits on the XRX. I've taken the front body mount off just to make it easier to see. So I think I measured this last time. This is the same car that was the GTR, Liberty Walk GTR, and I gave measurements on the wheel widths there. So we've got from the center of the hub to the center of the hub about 66, 65 point, can't see that, can you? Let's try that there. There we go, 65.5, and the rear wheels were 73. Okay, so to give you an idea of the arm lengths with that, just going to adjust the camera there, guys. I keep losing the view. So for this 90mm setup, I go from the end of the ball clasp to the ball joints there to the inner arm. That's 20.8mm. I hope you can see that. Okay, on this side it's about the same, 20.8. You can't see it clearly, but it's about there, 20.8. So that's what my two upper arms are. Now with my rear arms, by the way, I've got it set up so that when the car is actually on the surface, it is pretty much flat. Don't know if you can see that. Let's see if I can get that. Yeah, wheels are pretty much flat. That's the kind of setup I run. I don't run it so my wheels are flat, they're not cambered in, and I've got the toe fairly flat as well. Let me just see if I can get some more light on this situation, guys. Okay, yeah, and I've got the toe flat as well. Now I want to quickly mention this because I found this when I was playing around with the settings on my car. With these plastic cars, most of the plastic parts, when you're screwing them together, if you're screwing them very aggressively and you're not keeping an eye on the alignment, the plastic will alter and you'll end up with wonky parts fitting together. So for example, when I was rejigging the gearbox on this car, I wasn't paying attention. I was using the electric screwdriver, which you have to be a bit careful with, because if you're not paying attention, it screws it in too quickly. And I put it together and I looked at it and the toe was all wrong. You know, it looked like it had a toe, kind of one was towing in, one was towing out, and basically I hadn't screwed it together properly. I loosened the screws, realigned it, held it firmly in place, checked the wheels were straight, re-screwed it, and it was fine. And you can affect the alignment of the pieces if you're too forceful. So just bear in mind to be gentle when you're doing these things. Okay, so that was the first quick mention there, just about when you're screwing these cars together. They are, you know, the plastic parts can be altered if you're too heavy-handed with them. Okay, let's go back to the upper arms now while I remember. Sorry, the lower arms. So I've got the alloy lower arms on here. I'll try and measure it in a place where you can see it, or at least you can then compare it to your own car. So for me, the distance from the chassis to the end of the there we go, from the chassis to the end of the ball joint there is 17.3, and it's about 17 point probably 2 on the other side. I think it's 17.3. You just can't see the inside of the ball joint there properly, but it gives you an approximate measurement of what my arms are. And if you have a look from the top down, you can see I've got a little bit of toe out going on. I don't normally do that. On the bigger car I've got it actually parallel, but here I've got this because it's a smaller car, to get the wheels to fit and other various reasons why I've had to do it like this. So I'm going to measure now the steering arm so you can see what my steering rod is measured up at. Which is easier said than done, but let's see if I can do that while you're watching. So it's about 15.2mm. Let's try the other side, see if I can get that. If I'd say it's probably a little bit more, 15.5, and yeah, about 15.5 each side, roughly. Okay, so that, guys, gives you a starting point if you want to have my setup. Now, you've seen this car earlier on in this video, and the handling is brilliant. Okay, the other thing, if you want to see how I've got my car set up, have a look at my rear shocks. I've got the blue washer all the way to the top, and it's pretty soft. Okay, now again, you can see if you look through, I haven't got my drive shaft shimmed all the way into the gearbox. I've actually got it pretty loose. Okay, actually that's too loose. That could be doing a tighten up at the back. Something's obviously need tightening there. Actually, tell a lie guys, I haven't actually put my washers in to tighten this properly and the wheels are quite loose. But still, you saw how the car was handling. Let's see if I can't tighten that up or if it needs a wash ring. No. Okay, we could do with some washers there to tighten that up. So I could do with maybe shimming the inside of the cups. I've shown that in other videos. If you go to my video about the steering fixes, you'll see that I often put shims on the inside to keep those wheels in place. But yeah, okay. Genuine blooper again guys, so yeah, I hadn't actually done that, but to be honest, as long as the wheels aren't wobbling, and they're not, they're fairly good. I'm getting good handling from this car. My front wheels, you will see, are pretty secure, and that's where your steering is done, and that's what helps guide the car. Okay, so that gives you a rough idea. My front shocks as well, sorry, let's get to that before I forget. Again, you can see I've got it all the way to the top, and it's pretty soft. I've got the Jennings servo in here. Interestingly, someone else, Adam, my friend Adam over at Adam's Mini RCs, he's tried the Jennings servo and the regular servo, and with his steering, when he went back to he started off with the Jennings servo. When he put the regular servo in, his steering was sticking a little bit, and I think it's because the Jennings servo is a little bit stronger. It'll pull past any sticking points and send to your wheels. Now, I don't have any problems with the standard servo, but my steering is really free. I spent a lot of time making sure that nothing catches. It's very free. Okay. Ride height. Let's just give you an idea of the ride height on this. This is a bit trickier to do. I'll have to change the camera position, I think, in a minute. I think I'm about sorry guys, I'm about 1 millimeter off the ground. I'm pretty low with this car. Maybe 1.5. But the main point here is that when my car is set up, I've adjusted all the ride height screws so that there's no tipping. I turn the wheels this way and there's no tipping. What I mean by that, the car isn't rocking. Okay, same here. Another test I do, which sorry if I'm sounding distant there, is I will turn the wheels sideways and I will see if I can make them roll as I turn the car. Can you see my wheels are rolling? And I'll do the same here. If one isn't rolling or if it's not touching enough, that's the one I might turn the screw on so the wheel drops down a bit more to give it a bit more connection with the ground, or I might turn that one up to lift it up slightly. Depends on what your ride height looks like and what your wheel arches look like. But that's how I've got mine set up. So in full lock, my wheels turn. You can see the dust turning on the wheels there. I'll do it this way if you want, or I can bring it down. Give it a bit more angle. There you go. That's, I think, is pretty important. They often say that the trailing wheel, the one that's behind, isn't as important as this one, but I try and get both of them touching as I'm steering. So that's my 90mm setup, and a quick whiz through now. I'm going to show you which shells fit. So obviously you saw the Porsche shell fitted. This RX 7 shell even fits. Now the rear wheels are too wide, but it depends on your taste really, if you like having the rear wheels sticking out or not. Okay, so they're probably a bit wide, the rear wheels, but you can put thinner rear wheels on, or you can use a lesser offset. And you can see my steering is fine, plenty of space. So RX-7 is definitely a plus. I've tried the red RX-7 and that's the same. It's the same car pretty much. What else have I got here to hand that I can quickly just do a quick test to show? Okay, I've got this yellow Subaru here. Let's get that. Let's give that a go. Okay. Yep, yellow Subaru. It's Subaru even. That's a go too. Okay. Guys, I'm going to quickly take the wheel off the front of my car just to show you what it looks like on the inside, so that there's no mystery to how I'm getting these smaller shells to fit and run nicely. Now what you will notice is I've got a washer underneath my nut there, and that helps hold the wheel on because it was a little bit loose without it. If you go to my previous videos, the one about the steering fixes, you'll see why I do that. So if you ever look on the inside of my wheel, you can probably see that it's been adjusted. So this was a 0 offset wheel, and then I sanded it a little bit more. So it's probably more like a half, minus half offset now. But that, along with these measurements, and you can see I've still got a bit of space left to bring these arms in a bit more if I wanted to. That works a treat. And that is how I've managed to get the 90mm shells to fit and the car to drift nicely. Okay. I've got a bit of time left. I might just show you the 98mm setup exactly as well. It's also a chance to show off my newly painted shell. So I'm really getting into this painting now, thanks to some of you guys out there who convinced me I should embrace it rather than be scared of it. Okay, make sure your wheels spin nicely as well. Alright, that's a bit better than that one, and loosen it slightly. I think people get obsessed with having things so tight that sometimes having a little bit of looseness gives the car a bit more fluidity and it moves nicely. Like I said, my back wheels, yeah, that's not a good example, but you saw the car drifting, you saw the control I had over it, and that's with the back wheels moving like that. Okay, have a quick look at this 98mm. So this Corvette Shell is one I painted myself and did all the masking. And this is a brilliant shell for the XRX at 98mm. So I've got the optional carbon chassis, and you can see the rear overhangs for the magnetic mounts if you wanted to use the 1/24th scale. Just going to pop this back out. You have seen this chassis already. It was under the Audi R8 that I was running the other day. Now this car now is just, I think, in its most perfect iteration for drifting sideways. So I'll do the same test, guys. Can you see? Wheels are parallel, and you can see they spin as I move the car like that. So I'll do the other way. Okay. Both directions, both my wheels move. Right. Now this one, offset 3 at the back. Absolutely no give. Again, you can see my swing shafts are not all the way engaged. They're not right into the gearbox. If they're too tight in, your suspension can't move freely. It's almost better to have them hanging at the edge of the cup than too far in. Okay. Again, my shock settings pretty soft, all the way to the top. Same with the front. Now I've got a bit more ride height on the front on this one, and that's more just because of the wheel arches. I think I had to allow that to make sure the car sat right in the wheel arches. Could be maybe a little bit less, but I've tuned this so that there's no rocking. Okay, if your car rocks when you do that, your settings aren't right. You need to play around with your ride height and your suspension until it's correct. Okay, so I'll see if I can get some footage of this car drifting, because it is beautiful. It is beautiful. I've got this set up with an EX6R. That's an ASF receiver. Okay. Another quick tip, guys. I did point this out in a previous video, but I think a few people haven't seen it. If you look at my motor, I've got one screw holding it in. I haven't got the second screw on. Now, I know on bigger 1/10 scale cars, if you do that, you're going to end up going over a bump and the motor will come off and the whole gears will strip. I think I had a conversation with Adam about this the other day. But in my instance, I've had nearly all my cars that have this kind of motor mount, like my BZ3, with one screw. And it makes it very easy to adjust the motor. I literally just loosen that and I can tip the motor until it's in the right place. So that stops you any issues. If your gear is too tight because you've used 2 screws, then just take one off. You know, on this design anyway, for this car, I'm going to say that's definitely a go. It works. Look how smooth my drivetrain is. Okay, it's pretty free. If you have that pinned up right against the gear, it's going to bind. There's always going to be a little bit of give in the spur gear. So just bear that in mind. Okay. And same again with the wheels. If your wheels are too tight, or if you push your drive shafts in too tight in an attempt to not have them hanging off the edge, you're going to get binding, and it's going to feel that the diff isn't working properly. Your car won't reverse. And I've had a few viewers where we've managed to fix their problems just by doing a few simple things like that. Certainly it is the case with these smaller cars. If it's too tight together, systems bind up. So just be mindful of that. Okay guys, so that's all for this time. Hope you enjoyed the 90mm Porsche drifting earlier on. I'll be back soon. I am going to try and get some of the other cars back in. The XRX has had a few in a row now, but I'm getting lots of questions about it, so hence I keep making videos. Normally I'd switch it up and do something with the Mini Zs. I've got a big video that I've done where I filmed all the cars with grip tyres, the GLA, the SZ, the BZ3, MA030. Really had a good blast with the cars, and I threw in the Mini Z MR03 Evo as well, the rear wheel drive, to see how that would perform. So I've got some good footage of that, and that's a video I want to get out there soon, but I'm just being swamped with XRX related information and questions. So please don't forget, if you like what we do, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bells, and like the videos. I'll see you all in the next video.